Welcome to Bookworms. This is the show where we review books, and with me today is Becky in another bonus episode. How are you doing, Becky?
Hello. I'm okay. You don't remember Sherlock Holmes, and that makes me sad. How do you not remember that glorious series?
I remember bits and pieces. It's been a while. I am sorry.
But the pants episode.
Where he was naked in a sheet. Yes, you told
in
me.
In Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, it takes place in London.
Not all of them. One of them took place in Scotland.
Fair enough.
Booyah.
So, why are we here, other than you to harass me on my lack of Sherlock Holmes?
Because we're going to hang out in the British Isles.
Oh.
In particular, London a little bit. And then Scotland. Because we're going to go through... What do you think? What do you think? What do you think? What do you think?
I don't know.
You just finished reading it.
Crime thriller?
Dear heavenly potatoes. No, the other thing.
Wizards?
Wizards. Harry Potter.
Oh, boy.
Yes. Yeah. Why? Oh, boy.
Okay, let's go.
No, you need to answer my question. Why? Oh, boy.
I don't know.
All right. So before I get too far into it, when did you first come to Harry Potter?
I was a little late to the show because I refused to read the popular book until I basically couldn't refuse it. I think it was right around the time the third one came out is when I started reading.
Okay.
I know by the time the fourth one came out, we were actually in London, and the day it came out, we were leaving, and we made sure we found a bookstore that opened up before our flight and got the British version, which the other brother now has.
How many copies of the book did you have to get?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah. You
were able to share it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that was around 2000. The fourth book came out.
I remember when the first one came out and people were like, you need to read this. This is really good. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
So I was super late to the game. Like super duper late.
I'm not surprised.
What is that supposed to mean?
Everything.
This is why you don't have any listeners, because you're mean to me.
Probably.
So I have a vivid memory of talking to this guy in middle school through AOL or AIM. I think it was AIM at that point. We finally upgraded to Instant Messenger. And he had asked about either number 3 or number 4. And I was like, I don't want to read about some stupid teenage wizard who can't figure out if he's an actual wizard or not and all of his girl problems. I have this distinct memory of having that conversation. And then fast forward a few years later, I was a CIT, a counselor in training, and one of my co-CITs picked her name based on Harry Potter. And so I was like, I can't read that because this person is very into Harry Potter. So that was probably, I don't know, it was probably like 2003, right around when the last book came out of that. So number 5. So the most that at that point, because her name came from number 5 or number 2. I'm not exactly sure. So it was probably after 2003 that I first read it. And then I became one of those people that I was so horrified by, because when number 7 came out, I remember we were at the river and my mom and I were both like, we have to go to a store. And we bought 2 copies.
Why 2?
Because I was going back to camp. Because it was summertime. I was going to go back to work, and she was going to go, I don't know what she was doing at that time. Not working, maybe? Maybe that's the first time she retired. I love you, Mommy. And my dad was just like, oh, you two of you can't talk about it because you'll ruin it for the other person. And I'm pretty sure I had almost finished it by the time I had to go back to camp, where there was a ban on talking about what happens.
Because everyone wanted to read it?
Yeah.
I think I had stopped reading at number 5 and then picked it back up again probably 6-7 months after the last one came out. So I remember in college I finished them, but I hadn't read after 4 or 5 after it came out.
That would have been the summer after you met me, because we met in October of 2007. And it came out in the summer of 2007. It would have been the summer of 2008. Look at that. I did math.
Woohoo.
Go me. So I enjoyed my time in Harry Potter world. I think it would have been a very different experience if I had grown up with it, because there seemed to be that Like, yes, we are part of the Harry Potter generation, but we missed it just by a smidge in that the first book came out when we were in like 3rd grade or 2nd grade.
Is it that far back? I thought it was closer to middle school.
The first one came out in 97. So that would have been 4th grade-ish, like the summer after 4th grade.
I'll take your word for it.
Because 96 was when I went to camp for the first time, and that was between 3rd and 4th grade.
I'll take your word for it.
He's so mean to me. So mean to me. And then...
it was a long time ago.
A long, long time ago. Anyway, so I've reread it a few times, and this last time I reread it, he was whiny, and the whole J.K. Rowling, still haven't figured out her name, being a TERF and whatnot, like, does that cloud everything? But that's a different conversation. I want to dive into I don't know if this is a conspiracy theory, but it's a theory about Harry Potter, and the fact that it is 2 trilogies bridged by a single book. Have you heard about this theory?
I have not.
Okay, cool. You're going to learn something.
Woo, woo.
This is all down a Reddit thread, like Reddit rabbit hole.
You are on Reddit?
Maybe.
That's a scary thought. I think I'm going to have to take your phone away from you.
I don't have it anymore, but I did have it. Anyway, so the theory is that books 1 through 3 are a trilogy, and 5 through 7 are a trilogy, and 4 is the connecting book.
But I guess it is one whole series, so...
Yes.
Is it like a preteen to teenager kind of thing? Like, so a middle school grade book to a YA book?
Maybe if I went further down the thread, maybe. But the theory goes like this. So numbers 1 through 3 follow a very similar thing. They're all about world building. They build up this magical world of wizarding and how it's parallel to the Muggle world. And there are certain rules that they have to follow. Certain words you cannot say. Certain spells you cannot do. Because, you should not be a beep hole. Does that work for swearing? I'll just beat myself. There's a light tone with very little darkness. Like each book, each of those first 3, they get progressively darker, but it's still very much light and fluffy in a way.
It is geared towards middle schoolers.
Yes. But have you met middle schoolers nowadays? They are like, I saw and it didn't scare me at all.
Yeah, but that's middle schoolers today. Middle schoolers from our generation were light and fluffy.
Yeah, we were. The first 3 also follow sort of a mystery theme of a whodunit. So there's the titles have sort of a question, like what is the Philosopher's Stone? What is the Sorcerer's Stone? Whatever you want to call it, right? Where is the Chamber of Secrets? What is the Chamber of Secrets? Who is the prisoner of Azkaban? Right? So those are questions that they answer throughout. Sorry, I have my pencil in the background because I talk with my hands.
I don't know why the listeners needed to hear.
Because they might be able to hear it. So it's sort of a whodunit. And then we get the answers. And we have red herrings. Like in the first one, in the Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer's Stone, we learned that it's not actually Snape who is trying to steal the stone. It is Voldemort, right? But up until we get to that very last section, we're like, it is Snape. He is an evil, scummy, greasy man who later becomes this weird sex symbol for a bunch of women. It's kind of weird, that progression.
I thought it was Draco that became the sex symbol.
Well, yes, him too. But Snape was terrifying. And then later on, we're just like, of course Snape is like that. Everyone's an idiot and no one listens to him. Like, we can relate, right? Obviously. Number 5 movie. Anyway, so then Malfoy is the red herring in the second one because everyone's like, who is the heir of Slytherin? Who could it be? And then it's Voldemort, not Malfoy. Malfoy is very sad about this, fangirling and crying. And then the last one, is who is the person that keeps sneaking into the castle and trying to hurt people? And everyone's like, it's Sirius Black. He's escaped from Azkaban. But in reality, who was it? Oh, come on.
I'm listening.
It was Peter. Peter was already there and he was terrified. But Peter was the rat.
The rat.
Yes, and he was the literal rat. Figuratively, the rat too, because he was spying on everybody for Voldemort. Right?
Yep.
You're just like, whatever. This theory has some, I forget what the word is because I didn't write it down, but the way in each book, the trio has to be split into 2 different groups, with one of them always by themselves. And it goes Harry and Hermione, Harry and Ron, and then Harry and Hermione again.
Between each book?
Yeah, at the very end. And usually Harry has to end by himself in some way, shape, or form. But he usually has a friend. He's got to tag along. But Ron and Hermione constantly get injured. I wonder if they get friendship compensation. The first 3 books have themes of identity and relationships with parents. He's a wizard, and he's linked to this crazy wizard that he had no idea about, and his parents fought, and everyone's like, you look like your father, but you have your mom's eyes. Except in the movies where they're blue instead of green.
It is kind of hard to find green-eyed people, so.
I can't even.
What do you mean?
They could have CGI'd those eyeballs.
Do you see the CGI in those movies?
Yes.
It was terrible.
Yeah, well, it didn't get better as it got along. And then there's also this idea of how Snape and James were connected, and how James saved Snape's life. So then Snape saves Harry's life numerous times. Really, Snape should get compensation for working with that child. No?
It was under duress, so.
What was under duress?
Snape saving Harry.
Was it though? I mean, he could have let Quirrell knock him off his broom.
Except that by book 7, it's explained to why he's doing it, because Dumbledore ordered him to.
Yeah.
So it was under duress. It was, you love Lily, so therefore you must save her child, even though you hate James.
Well, rightfully so, because
child.
James was a dick. Anyway, sorry.
Children are dicks. What can you say?
He wasn't a child at this point. When he flipped Snape upside down, he was a teenager and very capable of rational thought.
A child. Teenagers are the worst people for rational thought.
In some ways, yes, 100%.
So there, I rest my case.
Basically,
child.
Basically like sexual assault, though, and everyone just sort of glossed over it.
Remember, this was coming from a person that grew up in, the 80s, and writing for people from the 90s and early aughts. That was just status quo back then.
I have so many questions about your high school and middle school experience. Anywho. So then the second trilogy is books 5 through 7, and they get progressively darker and has more mature themes. Till we get to the very end, which is literally life and death, right? Harry grows as a leader. He's kind of figured out who he is and how he fits into everything, and he's not just the chosen one anymore. Like, he is embracing this idea that, yeah, I can do these things. I do have a little bit of, I don't know, pizzazz in it with my magic. He's not a squib. He's got some talent, and he also has some leadership skills, even though he was mercilessly bullied and had no friends for the first 10 years of his life. There isn't really a mystery component in this thing where we're trying to figure out who done it.
It turns more to just a action thriller.
Yeah. And the mysteries that are there have really complex solutions. So what is the Chamber of Secrets? Well, that was one thing in the movie I really wanted to see done, was the Chamber of the Mysteries. And they did it so badly, I think. I was really looking forward to the jars of brains and the jellyfish thing that attacked Ron. Or was it a brain that attacked? I think it was a brain. I really wanted to see that jar.
They probably they might have had it in there, but they had to cut it out to keep the ratings okay.
They had too much umbrage. And it's a mirror in that. So the first 3 are very much look at this world. Look how shiny and sparkly it is. Look how amazing it is. And this is more about, look at the corruption that is within this world, and look how insulated it is. And because it is so insulated, how things have just degraded. Then there's, looking at Voldemort's past, and Harry finally reckoning who his parents were and how he fits into that. So he used to be stop talking bad about my dad. And now he's more, by the end, he's yeah, my dad was kind of a dick. So that just acknowledgement piece.
Well, in the last book, even Dumbledore, he realized, was only human. And as a teenager, young adult, made a lot of poor choices himself.
So many poor choices. There's the elves. Like Creature, when we first meet him, is an abused puppy, basically. And by the time we leave him, he is no longer, he's still an abused puppy, but it's a different, he's happier about it.
Well, I thought he switched awfully easily. Like one act of kindness, grudging kindness, and he's like, "Ooh, I'll be your happy slave now."
I think it was just because that locket meant so much to him. He loved Regulus. He fangirled over Regulus. And so to get something that he thought was his, Creature was probably like, OMG. It's kind of like our kids. If we got them anything, like this was a sock that Taylor Swift wore to the gym, our girls would be like, "Oh my God."
Ew.
100%. We'd be like, ew. But the two of them are weird enough. They'd be like, "Oh my God." And then one of them would be like, "Is this from the Red album?"
She is a strange puppy.
She is. We adore both of them. The difference is also in the first 3 books, they can kind of stand alone. Like you don't, like the 3 of them in theory you could just read one and that's okay. The last 3, you have to read all 3 of them to get it. So that was a big difference. And then number 4, the Goblet of Fire, merges both of them because it's still world building. You start in the very beginning with the World Cup of Quidditch with the Irish and the Bulgarians. Go Bulgaria.
Boo.
And then you end with the corruption, right? Because Fudge is trying to sweep under the rug that Voldemort is back. And Cedric's death was just an unfortunate accident. Robert Pattinson was like, "I can look stiff and unhealthy for numerous movies. Let's go do Twilight." And he said, anyway, little aside. Which leads us into, all the stuff of the last 3. Like Umbridge. She was terrifying in the books. She was not that scary in the film.
Kind of hard to make her scary in the films, though, I would think.
Explain.
I don't know, it's easy to overact that or underact it, but to hit it just right, you really needed, kind of like Bellatrix, they got the perfect actress for her. And
Facts.
So, I mean, what are you, so you needed the perfect actress for Umbridge, and I don't know who it would be, but it obviously wasn't the woman who did it.
No. Fun fact, her daughter's in Bridgerton. She's one of the Featheringtons. I forget which one.
Well, then.
Everybody needed to know that. All 6 people who listened to this one particular episode.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. You going to talk, or?
I don't know where to go because it feels like you're just like.
I guess I'm struggling with the.
Pause.
What?
You're going to cut this part out, right?
Well, I was trying to continue, give you a thought to play off of, but I guess I can cut that out. Just cut out all my speaking parts if that's what you'd like. Hey, you.
I'm looking at my notes. Start again.
Anyways, I guess I'm struggling with this fan theory that it's 2 trilogies and a bridge. I mean, I can see why that would work, and I can see why even the first 4 could be considered kind of standalone. The last 3 are a little bit more connected, because if you've invested in the first 4, you're just going to keep going at that point. You're not going to stop at 5 or 7 or 6 and just I'm done. And I mean, it's
obviously you've never read a long series before, like the Boxcar Children. I think I gave up after 20, and there's hundreds.
Yeah, but that's a little different if you think about it. I mean, they're more serialized, and you don't need to read them in order. Or if you tried reading Harry Potter number 3, and then when you'd be like, I'm a little confused. And
but I don't know if you would be.
I think you would. I think there's enough world building that you've missed out on, and enough character development that you've missed out on. You would, maybe it'd still be enjoyable, but you're not going to be excited for it. And you're not going to get as invested as if you grew up. Yeah, I think that's another big thing is you kind of got started around the age of 11, so you can be like, ooh, maybe this will be my shot to get into wizarding school, versus someone who's 20 and starts reading it and is like, okay, it's a kid's book.
Well, obviously we missed our letter because there was the Battle of Hogwarts. Just saying. So they couldn't send us.
And we're also in America, and they don't take Americans.
Yeah. I think it's really weird that the castle for America is in Massachusetts.
Why? Where is this coming from?
Oh, so once she started doing the Pottermore website and everything, she made other wizarding schools. And the one in the United States, I forget what it's called, but it's in Massachusetts on Mount Greylock, which doesn't make sense.
No.
It does not make sense at all. It should be somewhere in the Rockies or Appalachia, however you want to pronounce that.
Or even say more in the like whites or greens, New Hampshire, Vermont, just because you get the taller mountains there. Or somewhere just in the wilderness where there's not giant population centers.
Well, that's what I mean by putting it in the Appalachians or in the Rockies, because it's even less likely. Like putting it somewhere near the Appalachian Trail, because there's nothing through some of those spots. There's nothing.
I know. I've been on some of those trails in New Hampshire.
Yeah, that's in New Hampshire, you silly thing. You silly thing. So what other holes do you have in this theory?
I guess it's just, I don't, you can say that, he's going from 11 to 14 and then, but it's a pretty good continuum all the way through. And I guess the only one that's really different is book 7 because he's not in school, dropping out like he did. But they all follow kind of the same format. They follow the school year and him at the school. And they get darker and more complex, but that's to hold that generation of readers that started reading the first few books around age 10, 11, 12. Because if she just wrote everything at the same age level, I don't think it would have been nearly the same, hold over the audience that she had. So when you say, hey, let's take out book 4 and only look at 1 through 3 and 5 through 7, you can say, those are different. But again, you just go look all through 4 of them, and it is a pretty steady continuum.
I'm just telling you what Reddit said.
What?
I'm just telling you what Reddit said.
Oh, okay. This is a problem with Reddit.
There's a lot of problems with Reddit, but... So then, what about how do you feel about some of the inconsistencies that are in the book? Supposedly, every class has 40 students. We only learn about, I think it was like 32 of Harry's. And we don't even learn them at once. We learn that over the entire series.
I think it would have been very difficult to keep track of 40 characters, especially early on. Trying to keep it simple for the readers. I think that's more what that was. And I mean, think about it. Even in a classroom of 25 kids when we were in school, you knew about them, but how many did you actually interact with?
None, because I was the weird kid and nobody liked me.
Exactly. So,
because I did weird things, like read books.
But I mean, but you kind of prove my point. Maybe you had like 2 other people you hung out with, whether they were close or not. Maybe you just kind of followed around creepily. I don't know.
No, that was your job. That's what you did.
But it's class of 25 kids. I knew them all, but I only interacted with maybe half that.
Their classes never got to 25 though. They would have 20 kids.
What? Who's yours?
No, in Harry's. In Harry's world.
But that's what I'm saying though. Is Harry's only interacting with 10 of them.
But we don't even know all 10 of his. We're missing a Gryffindor girl.
Well, maybe that was the weird kid that
was
no
the
one talked to.
That was the other one who reads books besides Hermione.
Exactly. I mean, one of the problems I have with especially the YA genre is they'll try to put a number like there's 40 kids in the group, and then they'll have this really complex world, and like with this where you have this giant castle that feels fairly crowded. You have all these wizarding families that are all about the purebloods, and when you start looking at it into the lens of how our world works, especially back in the day when there were smaller populations, it was either everything feels really empty or there's a ton of people. So like one of the good things with the Harry Potter movies and what was the other one that not Hunger Games, but the other one that you were into for a hot minute?
Percy Jackson?
No.
Divergent, Twilight.
Divergent, maybe. It was where they had the different factions.
Divergent.
And they make it sound, we only have so few people. And the movie's like, we're just going to put a ton of extras in and make it look like a more fleshed out world instead of this tiny village. So because if you look at the Harry Potter movies, they only show that it looks like 10 kids per class in Gryffindor, but then you roam the halls and there's way more than the couple hundred kids there would be.
Well, what's 70 times 4?
70 was 7 times 4.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking you and batting my eyelashes very prettily. It's late at night and you're asking me to do math.
You have a phone.
Ugh. 280.
So close enough. 280. Yeah.
What do you mean close enough? It's exactly 280. My gosh. So it's 280 kids if every class has their full 10.
Yeah, so again, that would be a pretty small school.
I don't know. I mean, the school I work at, we'll have roughly 300.
That's it?
Yeah.
My high school had 1,200.
It's a middle school. Please remember, it's a middle school.
Okay, well, my middle school would have had 600 then.
Okay, friend, this isn't one of the things where we're laying things out and measuring, okay? Stop it.
I'm just saying that.
But you're saying it's a small school, and 300 people, 300 wizarding children is probably a lot in one spot.
But they're from all over the country and into Ireland.
I'm aware. I remember
So
Seamus.
I'm just saying, if they're pulling from that spread out of an area, you'd think, they said, just the logistics of a wizarding population staying, if you have a core group that stays pure blood, and then you have...
Well, I would guess there's a fair amount of homeschooling that happens.
They kind of touch on that. It doesn't really sound like it. And it doesn't really sound like there's really any other options locally.
I would think there would have to be.
But they never mention it.
But as you said, there's so much to talk about.
And they mention other schools from other countries in Europe.
But only 2. It never talks about anything outside of France and Bulgaria.
And that one was an all-girls school and one was an all-boys school.
Mm-hmm. So you'd have to guess that there's probably other schools in those countries.
But we can't guess that because they never mention any of it in anywhere.
So only females are educated in France?
Apparently.
And only males... You need to go to bed. 280 is almost the right number. Child.
It's so when you start thinking about it, for population wise, it's not that big. And then when you go to, say, Diagon Alley, it's always this bustling metropolis type street.
Yeah, because it's narrow. I could not be there. There are so many people and they're so close to me. This is why I can't go to populated countries.
Or just European countries.
Or big cities.
Or small cities.
There's so many people.
Large towns.
There's so many people.
Middle schools.
Whatever. I walk the middle schools quite fine. And I do that because I put my elbows out during passing time and I walk down the hallway. And if they bump into me, I'm like, hard pass.
No wonders you were the weird kid.
I didn't do that in high school. In high school, I just went to class. Unlike some people, I think.
What do you mean? I went to class. I was famous for the supposedly doing a wake and bake every morning in French class, which I did not do, but everyone thought I did because my hair was all over the place and I was red-eyed and basically slept all the class.
That's really weird because your mother would have hurt you very badly if that was true and she knew about it. Just saying. Hi, Joe's mommy. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. She would hurt you.
Okay. So, what is your thoughts on this fan theory?
I think people have way too much time on their hands. It's like trying to figure out when Taylor Swift's going to drop her next Taylor's version album. Everyone's just clowning around at this point. I think there's a little merit. I can see where they're coming from in the first 3 being its own set and the last 3 being its own set, but I don't think individually they could be alone.
It could be she wrote the first 3 rapid fire, and then the last 3 were more spread out. I mean, they were longer, but they had to be more plotting, and they had to, she's probably just, as it usually goes with these things, they kind of get sick of writing the same characters.
Well, that is what happened. She basically wrote it in 10 years because the first one came out in 97 and the last one came out in 07, and the 4th book came out in 2000. So between 97 and 2000, she put out 4 books. And then Phoenix came out in 2003. That's book 5. So somewhere between 2003 and 2007, she put out that 6th one. So yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot packed in there.
It's kind of like Stephen King and his Gunslinger series, where he had written the first couple 3 books or whatever. I forgot how many books is in the series. Then he just kind of went away from it because he was so sick of writing it. Then he almost died, and fans were very pissed off. Like, you must finish this before you're allowed to die. And he's like, okay.
Well, that's like one of the literary great books too, the controversial Huckleberry Finn. Like, you can tell Mark Twain after a while was like, I'm done, because the end of the book does not make sense with the beginning of the book. That was a rough read in more than one way.
I liked it.
Rough. It was so rough.
I liked it.
You can definitely tell that he just sort of gave up on life at the end. Literally, almost.
And we won't even get into Game of Thrones.
My God, no. 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 So then there's all these rules I don't quite understand, too. Just in general about this world. Like the Room of Requirement.
Okay.
Dumbledore finds it and it's full of chamber pots. Okay. Then...
I guess he really needed a chamber pot.
Well, he did. He says that. He says, I really needed a chamber pot. And there it was, a closet full of chamber pots. Which, what are you doing, Dumbledore, in that corridor? Like...
Especially when there was a girl's bathroom nearby.
No, they're on different floors.
I thought that...
The Room of Requirement's on like the 5th floor, and Myrtle's bathroom is on the 2nd,
There's multiple girls' bathrooms.
Well, yes, sorry. I thought you were talking about Myrtle's bathroom.
No. I was saying...
Well, there's got to be a boys' one nearby, too. Well, and that's another thing that it never really explains, because it's like, where are the bathrooms in the dormitories? Because the prefix bathroom is not in the dormitory. The prefix bathroom is who knows where. It's got a mermaid, though, who sings, apparently, and does her hair. That was a creepy scene in the movie. I'm not gonna lie. Number 5 was that was creepy. But where did the chamber pots come from? And then Fred and George thought it was a broom closet, so they hid in it. And how does it remember that? As somebody whose memory is failing, I'm pretty sure. Like, how does the room remember that? And then Draco, remember, was putting things in it in book number 6 in Half-Blood Prince. And so how was he able to do that? And then in book number 5, during Umbridge's rule, Harry was there with Dumbledore's army. Like, how does it make sure that if you are you, like, you know?
Well, here's the other thing. So it gives you the room you need that you require. So, but when Voldemort wanted to hide the crown thing for one of his Horcruxes, he used the room to and he needed a place to hide something. Harry used the exact same room. If this room can be whatever it wants, couldn't you have multiple rooms of impossible to find things?
Yeah, and how is it coded? Like, because, so let's say I need a room where I can go to the bathroom by myself and nobody's going to walk in on me, and maybe nearby in a separate room after I wash my hands, there's a library with a chaise lounge. Like, is it always going to be that? Or does it change? Is it like an AI thing where, you put in whatever your prompt is and every time it changes it slightly?
I don't know. Couldn't tell you.
These things bother me. These are the things that keep me up at night.
Well then, I know you don't get a lot of sleep.
I don't. See? And then, of course, there's the map and the controversy over the map. Why are you staring at me like you don't understand? You don't understand the map?
What's the controversy?
What the heck were the Weasley brothers doing with the map?
Sneaking around.
Was it for 3 years? It was for 3 years. For 3 years, they saw their brother and Harry and the other 3 boys in the dormitory just sleeping away. And then there was another name. There was a 6th name. And they were just like, oh, that's Ronald's friend. What? Everywhere their brother went, Peter Pettigrew's name should have been there. They should have seen this other name and gone like, is that...
Well, had he been a rat long enough that maybe the map just thought he was a rat because he wasn't changing into a person?
No, because when Harry gets the map in Prisoner of Azkaban, he sees Peter Pettigrew.
Was he changing back and forth? Do we know?
We don't know, but that would be cool. Oh, could you imagine he was sleeping in Ron's bed and then just pops into his adult form? Oh, Molly, I'm so sorry.
There's a lot of questionable stuff like that.
Oh my God. The twins did Ron wrong there. You cannot tell me otherwise.
Maybe that was just the rat's real name.
But it's not. It was Peter.
Yeah, but I was saying that they thought, well, maybe the rat's real name is actually Peter. We just named it something weird.
Its name was Scabbers.
Yeah.
But they didn't realize that it was the animagus Peter.
Yeah, I get that. Bless you.
And so then I wonder, like, how Peter ended up with the Weasleys, right? Because he cut off his fingers or whatever in the middle of the street, and Sirius took the blame for his murder, but he turned into a rat. So how did he get from whatever street that was, with all the muggles and everything, to the Weasleys? Like, that is an adventure. I'd almost be willing to read that book and watch that movie.
More so than the other ones I've been coming out with lately.
I can't even with Grindelwald. Jude Law and Johnny Depp are too old to be playing these people. They gotta stop.
Do they even actually like follow the actual Grindelwald original story, or are they off in La La Land?
I don't know. I don't think no, because Fantastical Beast wasn't very long. I don't know how they got 3 movies out of it. It was one of those little books.
Yeah, well, I know that, and Grindelwald is supposed to be an evil wizard.
Right, but he didn't start out that way, right? Because he
did. Having just finished book 7, him and Dumbledore as kids were plotting to take over Muggles.
But they weren't going to be awful, right?
Oh,
I don't remember.
They were going to be awful, or Grindelwald was.
I'm struggling here.
No, it was Dumbledore.
Well, yeah, because
Dumbledore was struggling, being stuck at home, and pissed with the world because of that. And Grindelwald was like, hey, this is a really nerdy, smart guy. I should go learn from him. And then Dumbledore kind of got dragged along with, we will rule the Muggles. And then when they started dueling and Ariana got killed, he scampered away because he'd already been blamed for a couple other possible wrongful deaths.
But didn't Dumbledore put him in prison?
Yeah, much later.
Okay. I'm not...
But basically he disappeared or something, or kept doing his thing, and Dumbledore was avoiding it because he didn't want to have to relive the history, and he was afraid that Grindelwald would blame Dumbledore for the death of his sister as the one that actually killed her with the curse.
But actor-wise, it doesn't make sense, right? Because Jude Law is not old. He is not old at all. I mean, he is of a sort in the fact that I'm old. But he's supposed to be playing a teenager or 20-year-old. I haven't seen the movie, the Fantastic Beast movies or whatever.
You didn't watch the first one?
Nope.
Oh, I think I saw the first one. I was like, yeah, this is kind of dumb.
Kind of like a badge of honor that I hold right now that I have not seen them.
That was kind of like me in the Hobbit movies. After the first one, I'm like, I refuse.
Yep. Because that's supposed to take place so the final battles between Grindelwald and Dumbledore are supposed to take place in the 40s because it's in parallel to World War II.
Yes.
And then in the 60s, no, it must have been the 50s, is when Voldemort came to Hogwarts.
That sounds about right. When did James and Lily and Severus go? Would that been the 70s, 60s, 70s?
So if the Battle of Hogwarts took place in 97, yeah, it would have been the 80s.
Battle of Hogwarts took place in 97?
Yeah, canonically.
How do we know that?
Because she said it before.
I wasn't sure if it mirrored when like Harry went to school in 97 and so started in
98 is when the battle took place.
That would have been from book 7.
So Harry was born in 1980 apparently.
I always thought he was closer to us. Like I said, I thought he was 11 in 97.
No.
When the first book came out, or maybe 95
because
or whatever,
that's another
when she would have actually written it.
That's another theory that people have, the ones who are disassociated with reality. They're like, the books came out in 97 because that's when Voldemort was defeated, and so it was safe again to talk about wizarding, and J.K. Rowling was there at the Battle of Hogwarts and is writing about her BFF Harry.
Is she Luna? That can make sense.
Don't insult Luna like that. Luna is not a TERF. Stop. You take that back.
Who was Draco's girlfriend there?
Oh, Pansy Parkinson?
Yeah. Is she Pansy maybe?
No, stop. You're just being mean to all of them now. Stop it. Oh, I had a point. And
she could be a Slytherin though. Fangirling on the Gryffindors because she's like, I wish I was a Gryffindor because they're the famous ones now.
Anyway, so my original point was that in the movies, Jude Law looks younger, obviously not ancient like Dumbledore. But then when we get to movie number 6 of Harry Potter, Michael Gambon, however we say his name, is ancient, even when he goes back to visit Voldemort in the 50s. And so it's like, Dumbledore, what happened to you in the 10-year span? Like, wizards live longer, but something happened there. Like, what happened there? And how did you go from beautiful to, I have questions. Now I'm going to circle back around to that Slytherin Gryffindor thing. What's wrong with Slytherins?
They are conniving and considered evil, because the majority of them become dark wizards and witches. I don't know why you're getting upset with me. That's
I'm not.
fact from the book that everyone says.
No, they didn't say that everyone who's in there.
They said the majority of them.
No, it says there's not a witch or wizard who went bad who wasn't in Slytherin. Meaning that if they went bad, they were in Slytherin, but not that all Slytherins are bad.
They kind of implied that.
Well, yes.
And then all the characters, Harry was there, were definitely on the bad side.
I think Slytherin.
And like in book 7, there wasn't a single Slytherin that stayed to fight for Hogwarts. They all left or joined Voldemort. The only ones that stayed behind were Malfoy, Crabbe, and Goyle, and that was to try to capture Harry.
If we die for them, Harry, I'll kill you. Thank you, Bron. Thank you for that. I think Slytherin gets a bad rap for
rightfully so
being ambitious, because Gryffindor is painted as this very wonderful house. But let's face it, Harry, Ron, and Hermione were probably the 3 most obnoxious students in that entire school. Like, there's a reason why McGonagall looks at them and goes, why is it always you 3? I love McGonagall. I want to be her. I want to be her and Snape's love child. That's really what I want to be.
So the weird guy that no one talks to.
What would have been different? My gosh. People talk to me. Maybe. But they're constantly breaking rules. Harry literally thinks that he is better than a teacher.
In a way, he kind of was. In a way.
Elaborate. I'm waiting.
You're referring to Snape, I assume, right?
Yeah.
And Harry looks at it as, the guy has had it against me and I've done nothing to him. Therefore, I must be better than him because he's being petty and childish and stupid. And Snape is a full-grown man and should be able to separate the child from the parents, especially when the parents didn't raise him because they were dead.
Because of him.
And what would have happened to Harry if he did wind up in Slytherin? Would Snape would have still been like, I hate you?
I think that would have been a very interesting book, and it wasn't Snape's actual fault. It was Peter's fault, but still.
Snape was trying to protect Lily, so he said that was what got him to turn against Voldemort. He says, I don't care, you will do with James and the brat, but don't hurt the girl I love. Even though I think hurting the kid would have hurt her anyways, probably more so than her sacrificing herself for the kid. But.
My gosh, it reminds me of the Tim McGraw song, Don't Take the Girl. I'm pretty sure it was Tim McGraw. Pretty sure it was him. Don't take the girl. Anywho. But I have issue just of the blanket statement that Slytherins are all bad and Gryffindor is this great, amazing thing.
You're just jealous because I'm a Gryffindor.
I honestly don't know what I am because
because you cheat.
I wasn't going to put it like that, but yes, because on those quizzes you can figure out what you need to get.
I mean, they do
which
say
probably means I am in Slytherin.
They do say that you kind of pick your own house. You do have some say in the matter, so you could pick whatever house you want to be part of.
I would probably be in Hufflepuff actually because it's near the kitchens and it's warm there.
Less stairs.
Total. Well, I don't know because it's in the basement.
But it's not in the dungeons, which are below the basement. It's not in one of the 2 towers like Ravenclaw or Gryffindor.
Hell no. No, I am not doing that every single day. God, no.
And we know me who likes to hike, so I don't mind a few stairs to get to a tower.
Because then not only have you climbed the stairs to get to the tower, then you have to climb more stairs to get to your bedroom. Well, no. No, sir. Give me the kitchens so I can have a little nosh whenever I'm hungry. Ugh.
Okay. Moving on. Anything else you want to say for fan theories?
I don't know. There's just so many out there. I haven't read any of the fan fiction. Well, I read The Cursed Child, and that was a weird-ass book.
Yeah, that was pretty much fan fiction from the
from
the
herself.
author.
But I've seen this one fan fiction called Manacled roaming around, and I'm terrified to actually peruse it because, well, it's a smut book, I'm pretty sure, but it's
Right down your alley.
told, no, no, but it's told as if Draco Hermione fanfic is very, very steamy, and so is Harry and Draco's fanfic. But this is a little different because I think if what I've heard is true, Hermione and Draco get together and Hermione doesn't fight. She sort of just takes on this other persona where she's more docile and follows Draco along. And I don't know how I feel about it, which is why I haven't read it yet, because I'm terrified.
Yeah, that would kind of just change her whole character completely to not really be resembling her anymore.
Who did you connect with?
For characters?
Yeah.
What's his face? The one that kills
Hagrid. The one that kills the snake.
Yeah, what's his name? Neville. I always felt more like connected with Neville.
He should have been the chosen one.
Mm-hmm.
Remember why he wasn't?
I forget.
Because he was pure blood, and Harry was a half blood like Voldemort.
So he probably was the chosen because he was pure blood.
No, Voldemort chose Harry because he recognized Harry as being just as dangerous as him. He picked his mirror.
Okay, I guess that makes more sense. Plus, Neville's parents got basically tortured insane already.
True. Very, very true.
And the grandmother was a badass bitch.
For real.
So Voldemort was probably more scared of her than even Dumbledore.
Well, yeah, because even when, in number 7, when the Snatchers were going after her, she was like, they'll never catch me. And Neville's like, go Gran. Go Gran.
Yep.
So, probably growing up, yes, Hermione, because my nose was always in a book, and I like to spurt my knowledge out at any given moment. But at camp, when the final movie was coming out, that was in 2011, I was Molly Weasley, because by this point I had gone through counselor and training, and I'd been a counselor, and then I became the counselor and training counselor. So I was training people to be counselors. And so I had like 49 kids that I had not literally birthed, but sent on their counseling way. And so I was Molly Weasley. And I think Molly gets a bad rap because everyone sees her because she's the stay-at-home mom, and she's popped out so many kids that everyone's like, yeah, it's just Molly Weasley. She's soft. And there's a controversy over her killing Bellatrix at the very end of book 7. So everyone's like, Molly shouldn't have been able to do that. But I don't think they understand what it's like to be a mom.
And protecting her children, especially after one has just been killed.
Right? And then
she's an angry, vicious Wolverine at that point. She's the honey badger.
The feminine rage that is coursing through Molly Weasley's veins. I still relate to. I am probably Molly, 100%.
Who do you think I am?
Oh, yeah, you probably would be the rubber duck. What is the function of the rubber duck? Arthur, why? I don't know who you would be.
What do you think of Ron and Hermione hooking up and Harry and Ginny?
I think inbreeding is wrong. It just feels like it's inbreeding. It shouldn't happen.
I felt it was kind of weird in that Ron was always just a dick. And Hermione just put up with it. And it's like she should not have been with Harry. No, definitely not Harry.
I will fight that.
I agree with you there. I'm just saying that she probably should have been someone completely different outside the school. And I think Harry and Ginny was wrong because she basically hero worshipped Harry for how long? And that's just, that power dynamic just feels icky.
Yeah, I think Harry and Luna would have been an interesting
That was my thing
pair,
I was always hoping.
But I don't think they would have been endgame. I don't think they would be endgame.
No, probably not endgame. But I was always kind of hoping for those two.
Could you imagine?
But like Harry and Cho, that was her name, right? Cho,
yep,
would have been a better match just because Cho was like, we are almost equals. She didn't look at him as the chosen one. She wasn't hero worshiping him like Ginny did when they first met. I mean, and how can Harry go like, yeah, Ron, you're my best friend, I'm going to be snogging with your little sister who I met when she was like 8.
She wasn't 8. She was 10.
Same diff.
They were 11. So,
But she was always kind of treated as that really young little sister. I mean, there was never a... Yeah, they were only a year apart, but just the way that
she was played.
She was kind of
Written,
looked
sorry.
at. So just kind of my thought on it. I thought the matchups were totally bad. Like, Ron should have just been single for his whole life.
No, I don't think that. I think if he had been able to mature a little bit, seeing him with somebody like Fleur, not Fleur herself, but somebody like her, somebody who was raised in a different part of the world and had a little bit more finesse,
Maybe.
I think it would have been an interesting story.
Maybe. Yeah, Hermione definitely married down, staying with Ron.
Controversy there.
So-
That is a big controversy. Like, it's all over. It's still all over TikTok and Instagram and bookgram and book talk. Well, all the book things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else?
You sound like like the doctor going, "Is there anything else? Are you gonna hawk up anymore?" Like,
You ran out of notes about 30 minutes ago, so.
Can you not have this part in? Doing this as a favor.
Wait till you do another 3 or 4 for season 2.
You know what you need to start doing is paying me.
Oh,
Your
you
love
will-
and
I will-
affection is
you
not.
can match my salary for this, which means you owe me money.
I bought my own microphone. What are you talking about? I don't owe you nothing. Favorite teacher.
I
It
don't
was
know.
Umbridge, wasn't it? You would be an Umbridge fan.
No.
You'd be like,
Probably.
"Thank you, ma'am. May I have another?"
I don't know. I'd have to think about it. What was your favorite teacher?
Oh, McGonagall.
Okay, yeah, I guess.
Like, come on. She is a badass bitch.
I don't know. I guess I don't. I'm trying to think of which class I would rather be in, and I don't know. I don't really see a class that speaks to me more than any other.
Well, what's the one that's outside?
With Hagrid, with the animals.
Or there's Professor Sprout,
Mhm.
who does herbology.
Yeah, but me and plants aren't.
Just saying, those are the two that are outside. So you're kind of, you got those two. And I am just trying to spread this out because you're like, I need an episode and it should be longer than 20 minutes.
Well, we're coming up on an hour, 15 minutes, so we're there.
You should say,
What?
yo, I don't know why you listen to him. I don't know why I listen to him. Am I Hermione in this?
You might be Pansy.
At least she's rich. At least she's got rich friends. All my friends are teachers and they're poor.
We good? You have enough?
Do you have enough?
Have you had enough?
Never.
Do you have more you want to say? Final comment.
You put me on the spot. I don't know. There
Okay.
was probably some philosophical thing that Dumbledore said about adventure or not being a jerk or something. There's always Dobby. Be like Dobby. Be a Dobby.
Dobby.
Whatever. Be Dobby. Be loyal and energetic and just kooky.
And bash your head in whenever you're
Don't do that
doing
part.
something that you're
Don't
not
do
supposed
that
to
part.
do.
Don't do that part. Don't. That's not. No. Just be loyal and enthusiastic and kooky. Not cookie. Kooky.
Okay, and on that note, we will thank you for listening, and subscribe to us. We're on all of the major podcasts.
Please subscribe so he'll stop whining. He's like Ron. I can't get away from Lavender. They're not listening to me.
Anyways, we have a YouTube channel. You can listen on there. It's all audio, so no video.
Probably for the best right now.
Probably for the best. Because
I'm not looking my prettiest.
And buy Alex's books. He's got one put out again, and he should have more coming eventually as he finishes editing them. The link will be in the description.
Yes, because I want to live off my brother-in-law's proceeds. Please. Pretty please.
And then hop over to Spotify, leave a comment, go to Podbean, leave a comment there if you would like. Email us at kendallbookworms@gmail.com. We have an Instagram at kendallbookworms. You can contact us there if you would like. On Spotify, I usually have questions and polls, so definitely check that out. Maybe
Do they need to change the logo?
this might be season 2, so the logo would have already changed.
Whatever. Do they need to change the logo?
Yeah, Becky is the logo designer, so she needs recommendations.
I was told what to put down, and I tried.
So hope you enjoyed, and talk to you later.
Bye, worms.